Hey fam, welcome to another episode of The Good, Bad, and Ugly about real estate. I have a great guest for you, a new friend of mine, April Elias. How are you doing, April?
I'm doing great, Jose. Thank you.
April and I are both part of the Owners Club in Pace Morby's world, and she's doing great things for our community, and I just needed to share her with you guys because what's good keeping it to myself if you guys can't learn and experience some of the stuff that I'm experiencing as well. So without further ado, April, can you share with us your journey, how you decided to come into getting into real estate?
Yes. So I'm newer to the real estate industry, like officially. So I would say I started in 2022, hadn't joined any communities until I came across Pace Morby's community. So thankfully, I'm one of those people where this is my first and only experience in a community. And I joined that about 2023. My husband and I have always been interested in real estate. Like we've explored other types of programs and mentorships actually for the last 15 years, and none of them really, resonated with us, but Paces did. So we joined. And what really kind of sparked the interest was not only were we just interested in general, but what I do in my daytime job is I've noticed that based on the things that I'm implementing that have a lot to do with AI and optimization and process, that eventually I'm probably going to be, not totally working myself out of a job because I'm someone who's positioning myself to be the user of AI to enhance my deliverables. But I was like, man, I'm just not going to necessarily wait around for that. I feel like I certainly have like 3 to 5 years to figure it out. Let's start real estate now. And that's how I kind of pivoted into it. And it really started in Portugal, actually, not even in the US.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So AI is your main job, and you moved into real estate. That seems like a big jump.
Yeah.
So is real estate something that you're like, okay, I know this isn't going anywhere? Is that why you decided to do real estate, or why add that to your repertoire?
Well, what I do with AI in my job just complements my core function. So I'm in talent acquisition. I'm essentially a headhunter, and I've been a headhunter for the past 20 plus years, and it's at an executive level. So the people that I'm looking for are passive. They're like not applying to job postings. I actually have to hunt them, find them, and engage them. So I saw that those skills as an opportunity to be transferable into real estate. That was one of the reasons, because instead of pursuing people, I am pursuing properties, sellers, working with agents. I just take those same kind of core strategies for engagement and actually, for me, it's acquiring a new hire. And then for this, it's acquiring a new property. So that's transferred over really nicely. But then also with my systems and optimization and using AI to get a lot of things done, I'm like, well, I do that with my talent acquisition endeavors, and I teach my team to do the same thing. But then I was like, that can pivot over nicely too. And then I just felt like real estate is just such a hard asset, right? It's like you can get to it, you can walk through it, you can live in it if you need to live in it. Like it just had a different type of value in my mind, because I'm also somebody who loves to invest in crypto, but that literally could be deleted. So it's just one of those things that I'm like diversifying things, and I just think it's fun, and we can be creative and work with a lot of people in the process.
Okay. So right now, what type of investing are you focused on?
So it's pivoted a little bit this year. So we've done fix and flips, wholesaling. We're doing some development. Actually, our first land acquisition was in Portugal. So we have 3 lots of land. It's quite a journey to get to the point to where you can build in Portugal, especially as an American, but we've learned a ton around that. And anybody who wants to learn that, we also have a way to help teach people how to do that. So in September, we're actually hosting a workshop retreat that's all about real estate investing in Portugal. So people can save tons and tons of time and wasted money and frustration that we learned, like I said, the hard way. So that's where we're doing land development. The fix and flips, we don't do a huge volume of them. It's kind of opportunistic. We'll flip home runs, and if it's not quite a home run, we'll go ahead and wholesale it. Like if there's still margin in the deal and it kind of meets the industry standard for most flippers, then we'll go ahead and we'll wholesale it, just because it takes a lot of time and energy, and it's it's a lot of risk if it doesn't meet a certain criteria, just in
Sure.
general. But we're always open to those. And more specifically in the US, we've pivoted to, and my husband is leading up this effort, is to help solve the affordable or the attainable housing through foldums, which are hybrid home solutions, meaning hybrid like modular manufactured, but they're permanent home structures. So there's temporary ones and then there's permanent ones. So we're looking for people who have land or interested in getting in strategic land partnerships, or who want to partner with us on conquering some of these challenges and helping people out. And so yeah, that's what we're focused on for 2025.
So if somebody has land, are you looking for land that has entitlements? And what I mean by that is like wet,
Yeah.
dry pipes and electrical to the land, or are you looking for like raw land?
I mean, it's ideal if they have entitlements. I wouldn't say it's impossible. If it's fairly like easy, I know it's not easy to get those things, but if it's close to a road or something that's like not too crazy,
Sure.
we would certainly entertain those. And the other benefit is my brother is part owner in the company, and he's also the CFO. So we just have a different level of relationship that we are able to collaborate with, and so that makes things really great for us. And we're able to get the homes after we get the permit to deliver and put the home together, because they come pre-inspected and pre-permitted for the most part. Most of the models do, which is nice, because then someone can move in 2 to 4 months, and that's it, instead of like new construction, which takes a bit longer.
Right.
So from permit to somebody moving in. And there's even a way for everyone to have, there's models that have like, it includes appliances and everything. And then because they're pre-permitted and pre-approved, then only the outside has to get inspected, because the inside's already been inspected, because they're made in a controlled environment. So it's typically a better quality because they're not exposed to the elements. They're not subject to whatever crew showed up that day to frame the house. Like there's a lot of upside to it, and the price range is a little bit lower. And they unlocked being able to do this in California, which is highly regulated. So that means naturally they fly through, approvals with flying colors in every other state.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned that you have a background in AI.
Yeah.
So how do you say AI working in real estate?
Oh, it's certainly going to change every single aspect. So if you think through the role of every single person, I mean, there's almost unlimited ways to make money in real estate. But if you think of the core functions, like a real estate agent, well, I think that AI is probably going to knock out a lot of real estate agents, but it won't knock out the good real estate agents that start to use it on their behalf, right? So if somebody doesn't adopt it, they will be left behind. I know that sounds terrible and cold and technical, or like the technology's taking over, but it's just going to happen. I mean, you can get things done so much more quickly, accurately in a lot of cases. And then if you're that type of person who just brings your A game to everything, and then you partner that with AI, you're literally like unstoppable. And it allows you to be a bit more high touch. So you can use the high tech. So our whole model is when we help people and implement things like this, we're like, yes, it's high tech. For sure, it's high tech, but it also needs to be high touch, because the human in the loop, which is us, because you should be a human in the loop at some point. It shouldn't be end to end, just AI or just workflows or just automations, but it allows you to just really differentiate yourself and stand out when it's time for you to introduce yourself as the human in the loop. And I think that's what's going to win it, at least in, real estate agents. Same thing with mortgage loan officers and things like that, because they they get a lot of business through networking. And yes, a lot of that could be automated, but still there are people that like to do business with other people. And when you identify somebody who has that all figured out in the background, then it just kind of enhances them and just edifies them a little bit more in a different way.
Awesome. So, there are people out there still to this day that are not IT savvy, right? And they hear the term AI and it just scares them. For someone who is in the industry and kind of lives and breathes it, what recommendation or what kind of advice would you say to maybe start so they can not get left behind? So when as this starts to roll out, they can at least try to stay pace. I know that's in the IT world that's hard to do because everything changes so quickly, but you can
Yeah.
try, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and it's essentially like, and that's a great question because a lot of people fall into that category. Just a couple weeks ago, I had somebody say, what is this ChatGPT I keep hearing about? And to me, I'm like, what?
Where have you
Where have
been?
you been? But at the same time, I get it. It depends on your job. It depends on who, like what you're doing, what season you are in your life. You just might
Right.
not need it. So what I encourage people to do is just download either any one of these are fine. So you could do a ChatGPT, you could do a Claude, you could do a Gemini, you could do a Grok or a Perplexity. All of those have phone apps. Just pick one, and it doesn't matter which one, actually. Most people are probably familiar with ChatGPT the most. So if you don't know which one, just pick that one, put it on your phone, and I would start having conversations with the app, with the ChatGPT app, instead of like typing it in, because you'll get a better result and you'll learn how the technology works a little bit better if you conversate with it. And I get a little bit better output because I get tired of typing, even though it's not my complete thought. Like I'll be typing and I'm like, oh, I'm done. And I just, hit send. When
Right.
I find when I talk, I just get a lot more out. Like I'm explaining something that I need to someone, like I'm explaining this problem, and then I just explain the problem. And then it is a little creepy at first that it kind of
Talking
voice
to a computer.
responds. Right. But then you get to see, you'll put things in it, you'll notice the mistakes, you'll notice because they typically tend to hallucinate, and not that hallucinations are bad. They are bad when you're trying to do something factual, but they aren't bad when you're trying to do something creative, right?
Sure.
And I'll just give you a quick example because that might confuse people about what's hallucination. So what happens is so for instance, for me, if I took someone's resume and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, hey, summarize this person's experience, why are they qualified or not qualified for this job? Because that's how I first started testing it. I didn't do it with anyone's real resume. I did sanitized versions of things. And so
Sure.
you put it in, and then when it puts it out, it creates this beautifully written, articulate message for me to give to, let's say, a hiring manager. But what it started to do, and I noticed this early on, like right when OpenAI let us get into the playground, was it started to make things up. So if the person had a bachelor's, they would say, oh, well, they also have a master's in that associated like industry, but that person didn't actually have that master's. They just said, oh, this seems like this would fit, and they added it and they enhanced it. So
Oh,
you
wow.
just have to be mindful of things like that. And so that's what I mean by hallucination. But then you do want the hallucination effect if you're creative. So if you're like creating something new, if you're designing something, if you're creative storytelling, like, you just have to, and you'll start to learn based on the output how to work with the technology and the quality of your ask, because that's what really matters is how you use it. But just start there and then think, for every problem you have, like if I get sent seller's disclosures by a real estate agent, because I'm not a real estate agent, if I get seller's disclosures and they're long, I'm like, oh, and I just take it and I put it right in ChatGPT. I'm like, what do I need to know? What is on here? And so the big things will come out. And before I make any big buying decision, I do actually take a look at it. But if it comes back and says there's asbestos, there's mold, there's whatever, it just calls my attention to those bigger red flags a little bit more quickly.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, doing my research, there's AI bots and then AI agents, right? So, can you kind of explain to the audience? Because I didn't mean for this to be an AI lesson, but I think it'll help people, especially if they're trying to use AI to do real estate, which is the whole intent, right? Can you kind of explain to people the difference between what a bot and agent is?
So, well, agents can be highly customized. You can think of them as like a digital employee that you can train and then that actually can interact with other, well, spots can too at a certain level, but they can interact with other agents and then other technologies, and you can send them out to do tasks. At least in my experience, bots are usually in a bit more of a container that has like a set, and it doesn't really go out and do extra things and bring it back. So bots are kind of in a container with specific parameters, and they can do functions. And then the way that we use agents is a little bit more dynamic and collaborative. So I hope that answered your question, unless you have a different experience with bots and
No,
agents.
that's good. Like I said, I just been recently looking into it because there are tasks that I have in my business that I don't want to do. Right, cold calling being one of them. So I was trying to deal with ChatGPT, and they're like, "No, you need an agent for this." I'm like, "I thought that's what was the difference." So that's why I bring it up, because I thought that was interesting. I was like, "Well, okay, what's the difference between a bot and an agent?" Is what I looked up to find out what the difference was. So I thought it was something interesting that people they may not even know that there is a difference between the two. So just to kind of highlight that fact.
Yeah.
So
You make a good point. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, you make a good point about like, you don't want to make the calls. So voice agents are literally super popular right now because they're just getting better and better and better. And you used to be able to tell, even 6 months ago, 9 months ago, you used to be able to tell when the bot pauses, it's kind of like computing and thinking. And then you're just kind of like, oh, well, that pause is a little too long. And then you started to notice the evolution of them, which I think is just fascinating. The evolution of them, because then they would say, "Oh, Jose, that's a great question," and it's actually processing in the background, but it was a voice to you more quickly while it did its thinking, and then it would come through. So it's done things like that. It like buys itself a little time to think. And so now it's even more quick, and it doesn't do that as often, which, I mean, the error rates are going down. Again, it does depend on how it's prompted, how it's trained, what language model it's plugged into. All of those things matter, and the parameters that it has. But it's getting so good. It's like crazy how good it's getting.
Yeah, I might have to talk to you offline and see how I can access some of these voice agents, because I was going to have somebody build one for me.
Oh, yeah. For sure. For sure.
So you share with us what you've done up to this point, and in every journey there is a good story and a bad story. We have them. If you don't have a bad story or even a good story, you're not trying, or you're not doing anything. You're just consuming content. Would you mind sharing with us, a favorable story that you had in your journey so far, and then maybe a not so favorable one that you've learned, a lesson that you might want to share with the audience?
Yes. Thank you. So I've had a lot of favorable experiences, which is wonderful. And so I would say one of the most favorable experiences that I had was I presented a deal to Pace and team. They said, yes, we'll participate on this. And it was successful. We got done, believe it or not, on time. We sold the house within 7 days. We got a
Oh wow!
cash offer, 7 days on market in November, right? And then it ended up being a triple
Great.
digit flip that Pace and I split the profits, and it was like triple digits for each of us. And so that was a really favorable experience. That was the best one so far. And so, and for a lot of reasons, because I got to partner with other owners club members, and through the biggest, most shocking challenge was also in that deal. And so what happened was, we came across this property off market, my husband and I. We negotiated it. We weren't the highest offer. The sellers decided to sell to us because they said they just liked us best and thought we would do a good job. And so that was a huge compliment. And I was like, okay, this is great. And so it was like, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to get all the money to do the thing just yet. And
Right.
so as part of being in owners club and just the community more broadly, thankfully I had made enough friends that could help me figure it out and help me actually get the funds that I needed. And so, but the first part of it was I went to a hard money lender. I'd never used a hard money lender before. I'd either self-funded or just figured it out another way. And so when I went to this hard money lender, I didn't know that they were pivoting from being a traditional lender to a hard money lender. So they said, okay, yeah, sure, we can, fund this 100% for you, the acquisition and the renovations. We just need your pay stubs and your W-2 income and all that. And I was like, okay, sure, fine, no problem. So I sent them my pay stubs. They're like, yeah, you're approved. All good, all good, all good. Well, because it was a log cabin, they later on, I guess, changed their mind. And not that log cabins are unicorns here. They're not everything, but there's enough to realize that there's a buyer's market for log cabins. It was a luxury log cabin on a waterfront community that had a deeded boat slip to it. And so I was like, well, okay. So then they said, well, we need, instead of us funding everything, we need $165,000 down. And the cost of the acquisition was $300,000, by the way, which I was like
50% or a little bit more. That's
it was
crazy.
55%. I go, okay. So then that's when I pitched it to Pace, and they're like, yeah, we'll do this. I talked to Molly. They loved it. We're going to do it. So we get to the settlement table, and I needed a little bit, what was it? Oh, so we get to the settlement table, and Pace had wired in his money the day before. There were 3 sellers because they were heirs. The mom had passed away and nobody had an emotional attachment to the house. So that's why they were like, I just want to get rid of it.
Right.
2 of them were in person and signed. One was a mobile notary. And we're sitting there and they're giving me like this beautiful painting of the log cabin and the keys and like extra doorknobs, like all these cool things. And the hard money lender had not wired the funds. And I was like, what is going on? And so I called them. They weren't answering. And so the settlement was at 1. And then here it is 4:30. So I said to the sellers, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'll bring you guys your checks. You guys are local. I'll hand deliver them to you when this is over, because they had places to go.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, that's totally cool. No problem. And so then at 4:30, I get a call from the hard money lender, and they said, I have bad news. We're not funding this deal. And they gave me these like dumb reasons. And so I was like, oh my gosh, because the sellers were already mildly annoyed because I had to exchange the close of escrow based on the hard money lender wanting to do like a couple more things and changing the date. And so they want, and because they had something to do on Friday, they really wanted to settle on Thursday. And I was like, no, I just felt like I needed till Friday. I don't know why I felt like I needed till Friday. And I insisted on Friday in a nice way, and they agreed. And so if I didn't have like that extra day, because this happened on a Thursday, so I just got in my car, and my daughter was with me because she's a nurse, and she was, she was participating. She put some money in as a private money lender just to get experience in the deal. And then I had my liquid cash that I put in too, because the hard money lender I had to have like 55,000 liquid or something like to start the renovation. So, and then I have my liquid cash. So I'm sitting in the car and I was like, oh my gosh, like I need another $100 and some thousand. Like, where am I going to get this to finish this acquisition? And so then I just started making calls, and just my friends and owners club came through, wired the money in, no questions asked. It's essentially because they had looked at the deal before, like they vetted the deal. They looked at the deal before. We signed all of the paperwork to make sure everybody was covered, and their promissory note, deed of trust, JV, all those things were done. And the money was wired in, and it finally happened. But that makes me never want to work with a hard money lender again. But then I thought, hard money lenders are super valuable. You just have to find the right one. So I just didn't find the right one. So yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't think I've ever heard of one backing out like the 11th hour. That's really strange.
My superpower in that moment was composure, because I was just like, okay. And then the poor lady at title was like, do I send Pace's money back? Do you want your money back? And I go, no. I was like, I have 24 hours. I will figure this out.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was like, I'm not losing my deal with Pace over this hard money lender. No.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is a testament to you too, that you kept your composure and utilize your resources to make the deal happen. That is awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's not for the faint of heart. I will say that.
Real
And my
estate.
daughter's like, "You're so calm." And I was like, "It's fine. Everything's
No,
fine. It's
no,
gonna
I'm
be
not.
fine."
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so your dark moment.
The dark moment, I would say that was probably it. That was
Oh, was
probably my
it?
darkest moment was at that table not having money wired in. That was probably that's the let's knock on wood. That was like pretty insane
Sure.
to have to
Absolutely.
like unwind that after they left me with the keys and the extra doorknobs and their mom's special painting. I was just like, am I
How
gonna
do
have
I
to
say
do this
here?
laugh?
Take this
Like, what am I
back.
gonna say?
Yeah, that would have been a little difficult for me too.
Yeah.
Uh, wow. Okay. Well, you share with us what you do. Um, what are your needs? What if somebody's watching this and they're like, I like her. I want to partner with her. I want to help her grow in her business. What are the things that people can bring to you that'll bring value to you? And then how can they get in contact with you?
Awesome. So I'm getting all of my things in order because I did recently hire an operations and creative support lead. And so that is a huge help. And then with that, it will create more opportunity on my team. So if anybody likes anything that I've shared, you can reach out to me. And if you'd like to work with me directly and on my team, I would absolutely welcome that and figure out, we just have a conversation, figure out if it works out for both of us. Anything related to Fold'em to help get these, homes that are more attainable to people, like help deliver them to people where they're most needed. Right now, what Fold'em does is a lot of like business to government stuff, and they've pivoted to the residential. And so we do know that they have a huge, huge impact. My husband leads that charge, and we actually have a pretty big team. And it's my 5 kids that are also in on our team, ages 30 to 19, in a variety of capacities. And then I have some other team members, of course, on top of that. But and then our workshop. So if somebody's interested in the AI stuff, Heather Grizzard and I are hosting a workshop in South Philly at the end of the month. So that's May 31st and June 1st. But we'll continue to do those. So we're going to go on tour with our AI Momentum Lab, and we're going to do that, on a regular basis. And then we also have, I have a YouTube in AI kind of cohort thing. And then also we have the Portugal in September. Anybody that's interested in that. So any of those things interest you, just let me know. I'd love to work with anybody who's resonates with what I'm working on. And I still buy deals. So I still, if it's a good fix and flip, I'm always open to take a look at those as well. And I do have a buy box criteria that I can share. And it's just at aprilsbuybox.com. That's probably the best place to look is there, because it has my markets and some parameters around that. But thank you for asking.
Oh, of course. So as every time audience, I'll have her Instagram, Facebook, all of her contact information, her buy box link, her YouTube, so you guys can go check her out there and follow the content that she's providing and see and that's just going to be just a taste of what she's going to do at her boot camps. So if
Yeah.
you like to see her YouTube, you definitely got to go see her. And you guys have watched Heather. She was on, I don't know how long ago, maybe 20 episodes ago. So you know how good of a person she is and how she is with technology. So make sure you go see these 2 young ladies when they're out there. I say young lady because I swear to you, when you said you had a 30-year-old kid, I'm like, there's no way this woman has a 30-year-old kid. I have a 29-year-old kid, and I look like I have a 29-year-old kid.
No.
You do not look like you have a 30-year-old kid. So
Thank you.
that's a compliment to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and the easiest way, just I'm at April Elias on almost all the socials. So that's my Insta. I'm an early adopter of tech. So if something new comes out, even if I think I like it or not, I just go grab my name. So I'm usually able to have my name on most platforms.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, April, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I mean, I see you're all over the different platforms in our community, busy doing this and that and running different programs for us. So for that, I want to just publicly thank you for all that you do in the background that people may not know that you're doing. Thank you for presenting yourself and answering the questions about AI. I look forward to working with you here in the future, especially during Owners Club. And I guess we'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Jose. This was fun.
Thanks. And to you, audience, we'll see you in the next episode.